I'm Greg Reeser from the University of California, San Diego. I'm also a member of the Visual Resources Association, an organization devoted to developing and advocating standards for heritage image management. Now, the first thing you might be asking yourself is, what would someone from America know about cultural heritage? Well, I'm here to disprove the myth that we have no heritage here in the United States. This is a prime example of this great building in the center. The pyramid-shaped building is the Luxor Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. And yes, it's amazing. However, it's also a great example of embedded cultural heritage because on the interior is a smaller pyramid. I'm here today to talk about museum images and how embedded metadata can benefit the user. So most museums have great websites that allow users to search for images of objects from their collection. They also provide great metadata so that users know what they're looking at. A lot of work and money goes into these websites, and they help fulfill an important part of the museum's mission: education and knowledge sharing. Many museums also allow users to download high-quality images from their website, but when they do, they typically get no information. They might just get a file name and maybe technical information. If the image were embedded with descriptive metadata, now that mission of the museum continues onto the user's hard drive. They can now look for a description of the image and know what they're looking at. So how can embedded metadata really help the typical users? What can they do with it? Well, let's take the example of a user who's amassed a collection of 1,000 images, and even if they have these neatly organized into folders, it can be very difficult to look for something about a particular topic. For example, images about pyramids might be included in folders for architecture, drawing, painting, sculpture, prints, or historic photos. If these images had embedded metadata, then searching for a topic like pyramids would be much, much easier. And this can be done even without any special tools. This is the Windows File Explorer, and if I type in the word pyramid in the search box in the upper right-hand corner, I retrieve 17 images about pyramids coming from 7 different folders. And as I click on each thumbnail, the caption or description is displayed down below. This can also work in free consumer-level software like Picasa. I can look for pyramids here, and all the folders that they came from are displayed on the left, and the metadata is displayed on the right. This is an example of iPhoto, which has the same functionality, as does the Mac Finder and Mac Spotlight. More advanced users can make even better use of embedded metadata in professional tools like Adobe Bridge and Lightroom. Advanced users can open the File Info panel and go to the IPTC extension tab and look for very granular data about the artwork or object. This can be a great benefit in distinguishing between the digital image and the object that's shown. I just wanted to make special mention here of the BBC Your Paintings project. It not only has a great collection of images and allows users to freely download them, but they also include IPTC extension artwork metadata. Hopefully more museums will sort of pick up on this, and I'll show you why in a second, why this would be a great benefit to users. So who are these users I'm talking about? Well, let's consider that other museums are users. Museums share images all the time for traveling exhibits, works on loan, works that are also mentioned in their exhibits. And when they do, they typically want to add these to their local image library. Without any embedded metadata, they have got to re-enter all this information by hand. Very slow and costly operation. Museum staff can be considered users too. Staff from other departments like the curators and public relations staff typically do not have access to the museum's image library database. Again, with just image files that they may grab off of a shared server or they may share with each other, they have no descriptive information at all. And users need to do these things. They need to properly identify the objects in the photos. They need to properly attribute them to the right artist or creator. And they also need to abide by any copyright restrictions. So if an image is available to be used for educational purposes, it's good for them to find out that fact immediately just by looking at the metadata that comes with the image. Without that kind of knowledge, it would be very easy to misidentify very similar works like these two. So users are very busy, just like professionals. They don't have a lot of time to do these tasks. They just want to get their work done and move on to the next project. And they can get very, very frustrated when it's taking too long or when the tools do not cooperate. Of course, they can go to the website where they downloaded that image and copy and paste the information. But when you're doing a class with 100 images or so a couple times a week, that can be very, very time consuming and frustrating. Likewise, for using a more professional tool like Bridge, the metadata is there, easy to copy and paste, but very, very time consuming to do so. So our VRA group has attempted to make a tool to make this a little bit easier. This project is called MetaShotPut, and it is intended to help educators put together a PowerPoint presentation when they've got a folder of embedded metadata, of images with embedded metadata. So the user selects a folder. Here I've made a sample folder of my pyramids images. And then in the next screen, they go to an option where they can select which fields are imported into PowerPoint. We only have these key fields at the moment. And then when you click the Create Slideshow button, PowerPoint opens up, and each image is imported as a separate slide, and the embedded metadata is written into the speaker notes. So again, the idea here is that it's a time-saving operation for the educator to put together a class presentation. Another task that educators do is create web galleries as study guides after the lecture. So this can be done in a tool like Bridge. In a similar fashion, it can take a group of images that have embedded metadata. Again, I'm using my pyramids folder. And you go to the Output menu and select Web Gallery. And then you have choices for setting up your gallery. You can add a title, a subtitle, copyright information, formatting. When you're happy with that, you select the images you want to use. These could be the same images that you were shown in the lecture in class in PowerPoint. And then click Preview in Browser, and an HTML document is created. First, you see thumbnails, and then as you click on each one, you see the title and the caption at the bottom. So then users click through each image, and they're able to then study them for exams later. This slide just illustrates where this metadata is coming from in the web gallery. At the top is the Dublin Core title. At the bottom is the Dublin Core description. This works in other free software like the image organizer ExonView. It has a web gallery option, very similar, but you get even more choices about formatting and which fields are imported. This is an ExonView typical web gallery slide, and down at the bottom you see the Dublin Core description. Mobile devices are obviously becoming a very key factor, and a lot of apps allow users to search on embedded metadata and display it. This example is FilterStorm Pro for the iPad. It gives you some options on which IPTC fields you see. So I just wanted to wrap up by saying that metadata is really integral to a museum's mission. It's hard to imagine an exhibition that doesn't include wall plaques or information cards along with the objects. Likewise, for the museum's website, I can't imagine many museums posting an image without a title or without a caption at the bottom. It's all part of their mission for informing the viewer. So With embedded metadata, this mission carries on as that image leaves the confines of the museum's walls or the museum's website. It then moves on to wherever that image flows, onto the user's hard drive or mobile device. And they can click through these files and then see a very similar caption like the wall tags, but at the bottom on their file browser. I just want to thank my colleagues in the VRA Embedded Metadata Working Group and leave you with a few links. I know these will be hard to write down, but at the top is the link to the Visual Resources Association. Below that is our Embedded Metadata Working Group wiki, our working space, and if you can just remember Metadata Deluxe, you can Google that and go there and then find links to some of the other resources also, such as our PowerPoint tool and our custom VRA info panel for Bridge and Photoshop. These are a couple of the resources I mentioned: the BBC Your Paintings project, a tutorial on building Bridge web galleries, the free XNView image organizer, and Filter Storm Pro for the iPad. Thank you very much.